It's Monday, I'm Scotty, that's Motty. We've got loads to talk about, but I think it's important to address, because it's this time of year and a lot of people go through a lot of hard times. You know, the weeks feel long to get through, especially if you support a team that hasn't won a game. Is it 1 in 11?
1 in 11.
1 in 11. If you know somebody that's like that, you know, the best thing to do is absolutely ruin them, ridicule them. Make their life hell. Because, yes, they've been insufferable for a long time. And, yes, it might only be one game and we may get done by Spurs. But who cares? We absolutely wiped the floor with Man City in the last 5 minutes yesterday. And that's as good as it's got for a long time as Manchester United fans. And I'm ecstatic. You?
I am ecstatic, but I've got a confession, Scott. I mean, you might fall out with me here.
Again?
I might, yeah, again. It'll be the 12th time in about 20 years. But I had a bit of a stinker on Friday night. And I don't know how to tell you this, but basically went to Winter Funland. I've not told you this, so this is, you know, new information. We're not staging this. This is a genuine conversation. Went to Winter Funland. It was like the VIP preview night. You know, I get free tickets from your boss.
Yeah,
you know,
wow.
Little tickle and that. City squad were in there. You're not gonna like this. My former kids. They're not my kids anymore. Asked for a picture with Phil Foden. Failed, Anna, as a parent.
You failed by letting them.
I know. Do you know what, though? My missus was there, and, you know, she convinced me that I had to.
So you're blaming her?
Well, yeah, because if I didn't, then
What example are you setting your kids there?
No, I did try and argue and say, what? No, why do you want to vote with him? You're not even City fans. And the pushback was, he plays for England.
He don't play well for England.
I know, but they were giddy because he was like there. And it was half empty as well. It was like no one there. His kids were on the, or his kid was on the ride that they were on. And like, they were like, go on. But then I was like, can't you ask? My missus won't ask because she's too nervous. So I was like, well, can't you ask? Well, Dad, can you do it? But there was that split second thought. If he says no, now like, no, I'm out of my family, whatever, then I'm going to be like, well embarrassed. But thankfully he didn't. But I was just like, you're all disowned. You're all getting adopted. I'm ashamed of you. So yeah,
you should have gone over and shook his hand and really squeezed his hand, or sent a kid over with a really snotty nose. And
well, I didn't want. If I went over and squeezed his hand, he'd probably squeeze mine and hurt me.
It'd be very awkward.
Have you ever seen it where? Have you seen it with? He was the guy that knocked out George Groves in front of 90,000 people at Wembley. What's his name?
Crotch?
Yes, thank you. Have you ever seen it with him? And it is George Groves, isn't it?
George Groves.
Yeah, and when they're doing the thing on the meet up. And they have the argument, you know, around the round table.
Yeah.
And George Groves holds his hand, and then he goes, "What are you doing? I can do that." Do you know, like it's just sort of backfires. He pulls it. What are you doing? Like it'd be one of them, wouldn't it? Where I'd squeeze his hand and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" And he squeezed mine. He's probably a lot stronger than I am. And I'd be like, "I'm sorry, get off, let go." I like this. Tim Collins says, "You're a good parent. That's inner strength." Thank you. I'm glad you get it. I'm a good parent. I've always been worried as well with some of my, are they going to turn to the dark side? But they're not.
My eldest won a competition at a primary school, and Man City women went in and they gave her a City shirt.
Oh, really?
And I got a phone call off, because the teachers know I'm a big United fan. And I got a phone call off the teachers saying, "Is it all right if we give your daughter that?"
Really?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Did they take any photos with her wearing the shirt?
No. She's allowed to have the shirt, and she goes, "Well, I want to support Man City girls." So I was like,
oh mate, it's difficult. I was worried. That's why I didn't take my lad to the second Manchester Derby FA Cup final. Took him to the first and lost. I thought if I take him another one, we lose again. It's a bit much in it.
So you've seen what you've taken to City win the FA Cup, and you've introduced him to Phil Foden. It gets worse. You're doing well here.
I know. We went to. There's only one. I think we've all, as a family, been to one women's game at Old Trafford, and it was against City, and we lost.
Don't be surprised when Christmas morning when they're all bouncing around the house in sky blue.
What did you make of the derby anyway? Onto happier comments other than my purple family.
I thought it was one of the most professional games we've seen in terms of how we set out our stall.
King of the Sky, man, you spot on. Go on.
Do you not think? It wasn't great to watch, but everyone to a man seemed to do their job. Their goal was very much against the run of play. It wasn't advertised that was coming. It was a bit of a fluke off the set piece. So, you know, I sort of chalked it off. I always thought the game was winnable, even up until the last 10 minutes. And it just felt like an absolute masterclass, starting with Amrin making the decisions to have the, I'm going to say kahunas, to drop Garnacho and Rashford from the squad, because that's a sort of, set out your stall early about what you want and what your standards. I've not seen a manager have that sort of strength over the team selection since Fergie days. In fact, I think yesterday, take away the FA Cup and the Europa League under Jose, I think yesterday, and I believe this firmly, was the catalyst for Amorim to sort of build on and take us towards winning a league title again. That's how important I thought yesterday's win was.
I get your point. And I think that when we do, I think we will have success under Amorim. I know I've said this many times before, but I do. And I think this will be one of the steps towards that. So I do get your point. But I honestly think this season is almost pre-season. And I still feel like that. And I feel like yesterday was important. Like the things you've mentioned, setting your stall out, letting everyone know who's boss, that's important. Getting that belief back. Underlining how good Amad Diallo is. Because there's still people go, is he quite that guy? I think he is. I've said it a long time. I know you haven't. He's showing that again. Also, one or two players who you might think, there seems to be life still in the Manchester United career. The obvious one is Harry Maguire. I thought, the stats, I know stats don't say the full story, but 100% I think tackle completion rate. His performance was spot on. Barely, didn't put a foot wrong, really. I don't blame him for the goal, so he was nowhere near it. Defensive, it was bang on. Haaland barely got a look in. Also, thought he carried the ball well. And plus, when it came to a bit of needle, bit of ag, he got involved. Like when the thing with Højlund and Kyle Walker, also the thing with Ruben Diaz and Rasmus Højlund, when the City players were trying to go around him, Harry Maguire was straight over there pushing him away. I like a bit of that. I want to see that kind of leadership. Very good performance from him. Martinez, we know what he's about. I don't think there's any concerns there. Same with De Ligt has done well since he come in. Mazraoui, Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Mate, my thing that said on Paddock of him getting a statue ain't looking so stupid now, is it? So Mazraoui is just phenomenal in it. Then there's one or two others like Mason Mount. Obviously, the manager sees something in him because he started him. Some players couldn't even make the bench and he started him. It's just that same old of him at United, isn't it?
Is any news on what the actual injury is?
I've not seen any, so get involved in the chat in the comments.
It is worrying how quickly he sort of come back and got injured again, and he just...
It feels like Owen Hargreaves, doesn't it?
Owen Hargreaves, Luke Shaw, within a less period, really, of time. At least Luke Shaw had that injury that sort of knocked on effect.
He looked devastated. Yeah. And obviously you got it, but that is your big chance. That's you being picked to start the biggest game so far this season, or one of the biggest games so far this season, by the new manager who's showing faith in you at a time when the likes of Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho, two people that could have played in that position, don't even get in the squad, would have been a great opportunity for him. And what was it, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, he got injured?
It's really, really sad. And I know, people say, someone messaged yesterday saying he's built a Weetabix, and you can ridicule players for getting injured, but it's got to take its toll on his mental health, because he wants to play. Do you know what I mean? He's not making the choice there to get injured, and it is worrying. And obviously there's the amount of money that United pay for him that comes into the conversation. But you're right in terms of players like Maguire as well. I thought it was a juggernaut yesterday in centre defence.
Manuel Ugarte looks like the real deal, doesn't he?
Yep.
It does like that.
We finally found someone that merges McTominay and Fred.
Yeah, no.
We have a Mac Fred in one body.
In one who can put a tackle in, carry the ball, looks after the ball. I think 95% pass completion rate. I think he had over 40 passes. I can't remember the exact figure, but it wasn't like he only touched it once or twice. He kept hold of the ball very well, and put a foot in, and did a little bit of the Ander Herrera type dirtiness that you need. Just breaking up things and getting in the faces and really annoying him. You want someone who's going to do that in another part. And it's funny because we saw some of the sort of post-match reaction. Gary Neville, I watched this morning, because I wasn't going to watch it, but I saw a lot of noise on social media from United fans annoyed with him. And I like Gary Neville, obviously. I like what he did at United. I think, as a commentator, I think he's all right. He can do this thing, though, where he sort of almost overdoes the objectivity in his commentary. Like Jamie Carragher will commentate, and I'm in the minority United fans. I think Jamie Carragher's all right, but he'll wear his out on his sleeve that he's a Liverpool fan. Gary Neville tries to downplay the United thing a bit sometimes. And I watched the post-match analysis from him this morning, just because everyone was talking about it, and he was saying it was a game United didn't deserve to win, City didn't deserve to win it. The only difference was Amad Diallo, and I think that's unfair, because when you break down both teams, the performances of every individual player on both teams, how many City players had a good game yesterday?
Yeah.
And how many United ones had a bad one? There's a difference there. For starters, City have got what you just pointed out at the beginning of this show. 1 win in 10 as it was going into that game. Had the opportunity, I think, to go level with points on Arsenal, was it? Or I think it was level on points with Arsenal. Or close to Arsenal anyway. Keep the pressure on Liverpool and the top of the title race. Obviously need that win. And even in their disastrous form they're in, they've not lost many games in the league at the Etihad. I think it's still a rare, very rare occurrence. So going into that game, they'd be up for it, and it was, a game that you'd fancy them for. United are in the bottom half of the table, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? Let's not kid ourselves. But how many clear-cut chances did City have? Really?
They were the most passive I've ever seen Man City in the last decade to play against. Yeah. I can't remember such a toothless performance. And you can say, they thought, they've not been playing well, but man for man, you'd say they've got a better 11 ability-wise than we put out yesterday, and they didn't show it. No. We've got a team that's sort of been put together by a few managers. We've got a new manager that's come in, still trying to find his feet and his form. I thought it was a great performance yesterday. Away from home in a derby. It's ridiculous to say that it wasn't what I deserved to win.
Like, you go through that team individually, go through the United team, I thought, Onana didn't really have a lot to do. There was nothing. I don't blame him for the goal. Distribution was okay. Had a couple of kicks that didn't go where he were meant to, but I'm not being a bit, I'm starting nitpicking.
That's it though.
There's nothing there to go. He had a stinker or whatever. He was fine. The back three of De Ligt, Martinez and Harry Maguire, all I thought very good. I thought, look at Martinez's pass for the final goal. Look at Maguire, we spoke about. De Ligt didn't really put a foot wrong. Mazraoui, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal performance. At least an 8 out of 10, if not better. Both defensively against a very tricky winger in Jeremy Doku.
Yeah, that he was their biggest threat yesterday.
And although he had a lot of the ball, I think there was once where he kind of went past him or went round him. Other than that, he didn't get a look in. And going forward, Mazraoui was very good. Delo was probably the one who wasn't great. He was okay. A bit sloppy at times in passing, but not a terrible performance. Then you look at the midfield. Your guy I thought was excellent. Mount obviously went off. Mainu came on, kept hold of the ball very well. Another Kobbie Mainu performance that goes under the radar, despite the fact that if he didn't do what he did, United wouldn't have won. If he hadn't kept hold of that ball as well as he did, in possession, if United had put some tackles in, I think he did 5 tackles, only United did more, United wouldn't have won that game, and yet it almost goes under the radar because it wasn't, spectacular or some stupidness. Yeah. So again, a very good game from him. And then you go into the front three. Højlund, I thought, again, similar to Delo, was okay. Should have had a penalty and should have had an assist for the Bruno missed chance, which should have been a goal. And then you're looking at Amad Diallo. Bruno Fernandes scored a penalty. Okay, missed the chance, but played his part, covered every blade of grass like he always does. Amad Diallo, phenomenal. 2 goals, both goals without him and his endeavour and his energy and his effort. And the second one in particular was just sublime. He's got no right to get to that ball.
No.
And then when he gets to it, he's got no right to finish it the way he did. First time, places it perfectly when I think 99 out of 100, well, 99.9% of all mere mortals would have put the foot through it. And he didn't. He placed it like he did against the Scousers in the 4-3. Just a great performance. So I'm looking at that and I'm going, that is a great team performance, or a very good team performance, I should say. Probably great is an exaggeration. Barely anyone's had a bad game. I don't think anyone's had a bad game, and there's a lot of players that have had a very good game. You look at City. Is it Nunez who gave the ball away for the goal?
The goal, yeah.
Shocking. Diaz should have given away a penalty. De Bruyne wasn't in it. Kept over-hitting passes. I don't know what's going on with him.
Haaland was pointless.
Haaland was anonymous.
He was like a big fridge up front.
He was. Foden probably the one, I'm not just saying this because he took a picture of my kids, but who at least tried to make things happen, had a shot on target. But he's gone all season without a Premier League goal now, and he didn't fix that, did he? And then I'm struggling. Kovacic came on, was okay. Gundogan was all right. He probably had one of his better games that he's had in his return. I thought he did all right, but a lot of City fans have been criticising him. Kyle Walker, shocking.
Oh my! I mean, his acting was great.
Yeah. I mean, there was at least 5 or 6 City players that had a bad game.
Yeah.
And you can't say that about United.
No, it is such a weird one. And Gary Neville's been guilty of this for a while in terms of sort of wanting to overbalance with his commentary or criticism of Man United with the opposition. But for me, like I said, it was one of the most professional performances, definitely under Amorim, that we've seen. And it's certainly, I think massively vindicated his decision to not put Garnacho and Rashford in the squad. I mean, obviously, I know there's going to be news coming out after that. I've sort of heard as to why they may have not been there. But yeah, it's massively positive. We've had like a shit year. We won the FA Cup, right? And yeah, it was great and stuff. But in terms of stuff to celebrate, I fucking ran round. I was in a working men's club with my dad yesterday. I ran round full of blues like a lunatic yesterday.
Rightly so, man. That's what it's about. If you can't celebrate moments like that, then you may as well go and take up something else because football's not for you. Getting a last-minute winner in the Manchester derby.
Best way to win a game. Best way to win a game.
100%. And you know what I love about it as well. You talk about you've used the perfect word there, professional. It was like a performance where the manager went, right, here's what we're going to do, and we did it, and it worked.
Yeah.
So he went, right, they're going to have a lot of the ball, probably a little bit more than us, which he did. They didn't dominate possession like they normally do. I think it was 51-49.
No,
so
it was very close.
Very close. Usually, even when we beat them at the Etihad, it's been like 69-70.
Oh, well, I've watched
30.
games.
Well, you know, like the Dan James derbies, where it was like they'd have all the ball, but we just hit them on the counter. Wasn't quite that. They had a lot of the ball, but so did we. We took the sting out of the game when we needed to. We pressed when we needed to. You know what I mean? Like, it was very good professional performance. Annoying that we conceded from a set piece, and I don't think you can put that down to the manager. It's people not doing the job. But then the second half, it would have been easy for United to think, or to concede another goal. Kept going, kept believing. Obviously, Amad Diallo was the star of the show, but you know, it wasn't just down to him. Bruno converted the penalty. Lisandro Martinez picked the pass out. The defence stopped City scoring another goal. The midfield dominated a lot of the midfield battles. So it was a good team performance. And I think that if he'd have sort of told them what to do, he set them out in a certain way. It's like, win your individual battles, make sure you get them on the back foot. Press from the front as well. Make sure you're running off the ball. They did all that. Get the goal. Get the penalty. Sorry. Get another goal. Good value for a win. A good, as you said it, professional performance at a difficult ground. Even a City team that's struggling. It's funny that they've lost all these games or they've not won these games. The one win they've had has been in the league against high-flying Forest, and I think they beat them. Was it 3-0 or something?
Yeah. We
lost to Forest a week ago. So it's not like City have been a complete disaster during this period. They've had moments, and they didn't look, to me, they didn't look good value for a draw yesterday. I think United deserved the win. I don't buy what people are saying. I think now you're getting this narrative, especially from some City fans. Well, it was just a shit game, and United just had Diallo or whatever. And Gary Neville say that pisses me off, but. No, it was a good performance. Get involved in the chat in the comments, and we'll talk about Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho in a sec.
Make sure you're pressing like and subscribe if you haven't already. We want to try and get to 12,000 before Christmas, and we're over 200 off.
Good lad. Simon Borg said, we've had one field, why not the Etihad? I'm sorry, that's not bad, I like it. Santa Notch says, the Diaby. The Diaby, yeah.
Diallo.
Yeah,
stretching.
I think you've got to use the Amad for Amad. Do you know what I mean? I think that's got to be the one. Mick Holohan says Nev overdoes the neutral pundit compared to others. Steve Owen says can't tolerate Neville nowadays. Red Jedi said it's well annoying. Mick Holohan same. Kenny's joined us in the chat. Jim Mack said earned a tidy £100 from the Palace United wins. Hit that like button, please, people. Over 110 people watching. We've not even got to 30 likes. Come on, let's get to 50 likes before this ends. The Garnacho and Rashford thing, you were right. I think the manager would have been right to do it even if we lost. I think if someone's not performing in training, I don't care about your reputation, I don't care who you are, you have to, as a manager, especially a new manager, let them know that ain't acceptable. And more of the same will get us more of the same at United, which is finishing behind City every season and barely ever winning out.
Well, I mentioned there about Man City being passive on the pitch. Manchester United is a club and organisation when it comes to the behaviour or reacting to the behaviour of the players has been passive. We've pretty much created a culture and nurtured where the players dictate. How many managers have we had where people say, they've thrown another manager under the bus?
Yeah.
I'm like, good on you, man. That was Ferguson to say, right, well, you're not playing, you're not even in the squad. Get training today. You're not coming to the other side of Manchester. You stay in over there.
Absolutely right.
And it's the right thing to do. And even if we got beat, he would have been right to do that decision. What I'm saying to you is the question marks would have been larger had we got beat, but it's completely vindicated otherwise, and it helps his case now to turn around to Garnacho and Rashford if either of them want to be at the club and say, look, we don't need you.
Yeah.
You need us, because I'm telling you now, Marcus, you ain't getting in a Real Madrid. You ain't getting to Barcelona. You ain't going to Italy. PSG questionable. They probably afford your wages.
Well, we had, I think the video was out shortly. Laurie Whitwell on the channel, and the noise around PSG is very quiet. There isn't. Well,
where does he go?
Yeah, there isn't any noise basically. I think a bit of a spoiler there, but the PSG thing was something that looked like possible a few years ago. Now doesn't. PSG aren't in the market for Marcus Rashford. Maybe, and it's a maybe with a capital B. Bayern Munich.
Kane for Rashford, that'd be nice.
No, I mean, yeah, they could do that. But Leroy Sané's not signed a new deal. I think they have got someone there, whose name escapes me, in that position.
Bayern aren't playing them wages, though. Because I can't imagine Kane's not there. Kane will be there on a pretty penny, and they're not going to be able to 2 strikers who are on ridiculous.
I don't know, mate, that's why it's a maybe. Maybe they take a punt on him. I'm not saying it will happen. But there's not many, I think, that...
in terms of the magnitude and size of Manchester United, which we both agree is the biggest club in the world, if not the most successful.
Someone said Elise in the chat. Does he play in that same position? Right, fair enough. Yeah, there you go then.
Is that no matter what, he's going to be taking a step down from a club.
Yeah. The thing with Marcus Rashford is, I've defended Marcus Rashford, stuck up for Marcus Rashford, I've backed Marcus Rashford for years, and it gets to the point where you think, it's just not happening. It's just, for whatever reason, on paper it should. On paper you've got a player whose goal involvement is every other game, which is a decent return, but it's fits and starts. Yeah. You've had a season where you had 40 odd goal involvements, then you've had another season where you had 12. So overall you go, that's 50 odd goal involvements in 2 seasons. That's not bad. That's like every other game. But then you scratch beneath the surface, it's the old Romelu Lukaku 42 goals in 96 games for United tackle. Yeah. Statistics don't always give you that proper picture.
You can spread. I heard Joe the other night when we were playing in the Victor Pilsner game, and he was saying like Rashford's goals and assists compared to the likes of Grealish or other wingers is better over a scale or over a longer period. But whilst it's great to do that, I think a better picture is to do it over a smaller period of time. If you look at Marcus Rashford over the last 18 months, let's look at the goals and assists there, because people will compare. Foden hasn't scored in a year, Grealish hasn't done this, and he's 100 million. I compare Marcus Rashford against Marcus Rashford. That's all I want. I know your ability. I've seen your ability. I've seen you score 30 goals. I want to see that.
I get the point with Grealish, and I think Grealish gets a free pass off so many people because I think his numbers are not great, and I think a lot of the time he goes missing in games. He doesn't. He sort of gets away with it. But there's no point in comparing someone to any player who hasn't scored in 45 games. Me and you haven't scored in 45 games, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, like, obviously, Amad Diallo has scored more goals in the last game than Grealish has in 18 months. So it's a pointless thing. So I get your point about Marcus Rashford. But I think if you look at what he's done over the last 18 months in terms of, especially in the league, the lack of goals there, the lack of games where he's really got hold of the game, Marcus Rashford for me can be a match winner, and he hasn't done that for ages. When's the last time Marcus Rashford was a match winner for United? I think the last time you can look at that is Erik ten Hag's first season, and that was 2 years ago now. Yeah. So it's not good enough. There's obviously issues, and I can forgive someone who has a ceiling that's not their fault. Like, they're playing to the best of their ability. They're giving you the maximum amount of effort. They're just not as good as other players, perhaps. So, a good example of this would be
Anthony.
No, I don't. I wouldn't say Anthony. I don't.
But I think Anthony's got a lower ceiling than Marcus Rashford,
But I don't think Anthony's been very good for Manchester United.
No, I don't think he has. But what I'm saying to is he was never going to turn down the Manchester United job to go to Manchester United, was he? Saying.
No, he wasn't. But I think I'm trying to think of someone who was a good example of someone who made the most of their talent was Darren Fletcher. Was Darren Fletcher ever as good as Roy Keane or Paul Scholes?
Right,
no. But did he do well for Manchester United? Yes, because he knew what he could do and he did it very well.
He applies himself,
and he always gave his all, and he made a very good career out of that. And Ji-Sung Park's another one. Talented lad, very good player. Was he as great as a Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney or Carlos Tevez? Absolutely not. But could he be an effective player for Manchester United? 100%, and he was. Because he gave you his all, he made the most of the talent that he had. The issue with Marcus Rashford is he's got as high a ceiling almost as anyone who we've seen in a United shirt, certainly post Alex Ferguson, but he hasn't made the most of it. He doesn't make the most of it. And that is kind of unforgivable, especially when it's someone who's got the same accent as me and you, and who should but know what it means to play for Manchester United. He's not a mercenary in terms of someone who just signed for us from somewhere else. Came through the academy, knows about being a United fan, says he's a United fan. I believe him. He's local lad, born and bred, but doesn't turn up enough.
That's the thing that makes this whole scenario tragic, because all Manchester United fans, and in particular Mancunian United fans, want to see one of our own do that and reach the highest heights in a Manchester United shirt and be there at the forefront when United win the Premier League one more time. But like I said, maybe he put a rod for his own back, because he has demonstrated season on, season off what he's capable of. But you need to apply yourself, and if you're not, you need to look. And people say, "Oh, you can't read into body language." You can when it's there all the time. It's not difficult. You don't need to be an expert in body language to see if someone's giving a shit or not giving a shit. Like I said, Darren Fletcher, wasn't the most talented, but would run around and cover every blade of grass, because he knew that he was fortunate to be on that pitch and wanted to do everything he could to make sure that he stays on that pitch. I'm not seeing Marcus Rashford apply himself in that way, and the problem he's got now, compared to the likes under Ten Hag, is that we've got a manager that's come in with a system that does not suit Marcus Rashford. He's not a number 9, so he's not playing centre forward. I don't think he's got the skills to. He's no good with his back to goal. I don't think his hold up play is that good to play either of the number 10s. He don't like tracking back, so he's not going to be the wing back. This Manchester United setup and where we're heading under Ruben Amorim does not suit Marcus Rashford. So what you usually get when a new manager comes in, you get this whole reinvigoration and cultural reset, and everyone's happy because we've got a new teacher in school. But this teacher isn't, we're not given the lessons that Marcus Rashford wants. He needs to go somewhere else, and that genuinely, I don't like saying that, but it's the truth. Best for Marcus Rashford. United that seem to be signing off severance checks left, right, and centre and need the money. We do need the money to sign new players, and I think it's time he found somewhere else to play.
I think you're right. My only question is, and you said it yourself, is who's going to come in with that money for those 300k a week wages?
Man City.
Do you reckon?
They can afford him, can't they?
Do you reckon he'd do a job for Man City?
Imagine that.
You got to do better than Jack Grealish, who hasn't scored for 45 games. Jesus Christ.
Would you take Grealish for Rashford?
Would I swap him? No, I wouldn't. I couldn't watch Marcus Rashford.
Would you take Foden because you're close to him?
The kids would love that.
Yeah,
that'd make that photo valid. I could say, look,
as to my little agents.
And then, hang on a minute, your kids were younger than when he signed for United. Shut up. He's a red there. Yeah. Look, in an ideal world, Marcus Rashford goes to somewhere like a PSG. United get, say, 50-60 million for him, and he goes and he does well. I wish him well, and we move on and we reinvest that money in a decent player for Manchester United. And obviously, as everyone knows, PSR sole profit because he's an academy player. Happy days. Whether that happens though, I don't know. The worst thing that could happen, I think, right now is no one comes in for him. He's on 300k a week, so he's not going to rip up his own contracts, and the club aren't going to rip up a contract because the player's not playing very well. I certainly don't think so. Anyway, and he ends up staying at United for another season or two without barely playing. That would be the worst case scenario because he is under contract, and we have seen it. We've seen it with Phil Jones. I know Phil Jones isn't Marcus Rashford, but sorry, I think Joe Smith is messaging me right, and I can hear someone. He's ringing me. I think he is. Sorry about that.
Joe Smith stuck in the lift?
I think so. Let me just message him. Because
by the way, this is one of them old Victorian mill lifts where you have to pull two doors together.
Yeah.
I'd be absolutely bricking it if I was Joe Smith. Now, maybe he's watching the show.
Yeah, I've just messaged him there. Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe and a like. And to get your thoughts, does Marcus Rashford have a future at Old Trafford? If not, where do you see him going? I think it's going to be a case of, because no other club's going to pay his wages, it might be one of them, all right, we'll pay a fraction of his wages for the first season to get him to go somewhere, I think. And I just don't, he's rich enough, and I don't know if he's the sort of player, that sort of person, to say, like, I'm just going to stay here myself and play computer games or go clubbing.
I think, right, he's 27, you've played for England, You've obviously played a lot of games for Manchester United. You've won trophies for Manchester United. You've even captained Manchester United at one point, I think, for one game. I can't remember what it was. Like, there is an opportunity here for you. There is an opportunity here for you to, and I think turning it around is a bit of a stretch, but maybe that is the right terminology, for you to do something with your career. Now, the only way you do anything with your career, whether that is go away from Manchester United and get a good move and go and play for someone else and do well for them, or do well for Manchester United, is if you perform when you're asked to perform this season, when you are given the opportunities. Go in training, try your best. This manager gives everyone a chance, even players like Anthony, who we thought was done, he's getting a chance. And if you get that chance, take it. And if that's the way for you getting a move, then that is probably the best move for everyone. But if you just don't bother in training, the manager don't pick you, no one's going to come in for you because what you did 3 seasons ago, what you've done in the past, people look at you and go, there's issues off the pitch, he's on big money, he hasn't performed in about 2 years or 18 months, whatever it is, he's not worth the headache. And you end up in limbo. And then before you know it, look at, I'm not saying this will happen with Marcus Rashford because I think he's a better player, but we have seen players like Dele Alli, for example, like Ross Barkley to a lesser degree, I know he had a decent spell at Luton, like Jesse Lingard, who have got into their late 20s when you think this is the peak, and the career's almost done. Even Pogba. Pogba, by the time he's 28, 29, was in a United team that was underperforming. The fans had turned against him. Then he goes back to Juve, and then obviously has other issues, which you don't need to get into, we all know. But it's a short career. This is the time when Marcus Rashford should be absolutely smashing it.
He should be prime at the moment, shouldn't it? And it's true, you make a really good point there, and he's got to look at his peers, and obviously he's close with Jesse Lingard and what happened with his career there. So it's vital. Manchester United will go on and on and on, but Marcus Rashford's career won't have the same longevity. And we have let bigger and better players leave Old Trafford than Marcus Rashford, and we've gone on to improve. You look at the whole Beckham thing. Beckham did a hell of a lot more in United shirt than Marcus Rashford ever will, and Ferguson got rid of him and replaced him. It isn't that difficult to replace Marcus Rashford in this Manchester United team. We saw yesterday that we don't need him.
I agree. It saddens me, but I completely agree. And it doesn't sadden me just because I'm agreeing with him for once, but it's because he's right.
Sort of does.
It saddens me because there's a player that I remember watching him against Midtjylland. I was at that game where it was like, Marcus, I've heard of him, I don't know much about him. Bags a brace. The game against Arsenal, scores the winner at the Etihad. This kid who's
Arsenal.
Scoring all these mad goals, these important goals as a teenager. And then we've seen some big moments from Marcus Rashford, goals against Liverpool, goals against City, goals against Chelsea, goals against Arsenal, as you mentioned, helping us win trophies. But we've seen far too many lows recently. And it saddens me to say it, but yeah, you're right. It is time for Marcus Rashford to move on. Make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. We're going to be back probably later on this week. We'll have a video. I think we've got a video, actually. We've got a sort of mini doc coming out of our night sleeping on the street. We brave the elements on the name of charity. It's just what me and Scotty do. So that'll be out later on this week. And also we'll have other videos coming out before Christmas, so make sure you are hitting like.
Are we doing a Christmas special next week?
Yeah, we'll do a Christmas special.
I've got a Christmas jumper.
He's got a Christmas jumper. He's going to wear it. That's me, Scotty. I've been Motty. This has been a look at Manchester United's epic win over Man City. Thanks for watching.